Barbie's kitchen. Chaos. A delicious adventure. The sun was shining brightly through the pink curtains of Barbie's dream house. The day felt special, though Barbie herself wasn't quite sure why. She stretched, yawned, and then suddenly had a burst of inspiration. "Today," Barbie declared to her little puppy, "Honey, I'm going to be a master chef. I'll create the most delicious dish the world has ever seen." Honey tilted his head, wagged his tail, and barked, as if to say, "Good luck with that." Barbie had cooked little things before, like cereal and toast. But this time, she wanted to try something ambitious, something that looked impressive. Her eyes sparkled with determination. "I'll make rainbow pasta," she announced with a flourish. "It will be colorful, magical, and delicious. Everyone will be amazed." Barbie marched into her kitchen. It was spotless, glistening, and perfectly organized. Shiny pink counters, neatly stacked bowls, and polished pans sparkled in the sunlight. She tied on her frilly apron, bright pink with glittery letters that read "Chef Barbie," and gathered her ingredients. "Let's see," she muttered, checking her recipe book. "I need flour, eggs, milk, food coloring, cheese, and pasta." She placed everything neatly on the counter and smiled proudly. "This looks easy enough." "How hard can cooking really be?" Barbie asked out loud. From the corner of the kitchen, Skipper, Barbie's younger sister, peeked in. "Are you sure about this, Barbie? Last time you tried to make pancakes, we had to scrape burnt batter off the ceiling." Barbie laughed, brushing away Skipper's doubts. "That was practice. Today, I'm ready for greatness." Ken also appeared at the doorway, curious. "Need a hand?" he asked. Barbie shook her head confidently. No, I've got this. Besides, what could possibly go wrong?" Famous last words. Mishap montage. The chaos began almost instantly. First, Barbie tried cracking an egg. She gave it a mighty smack on the edge of the bowl. Crunch! Instead of the yolk landing neatly inside, it splattered everywhere. On the counter, her apron, and even Honey's fur. "Oops." Barbie giggled nervously. "Well, that's fine. Just one little egg." She tried again, with another egg, but this time the entire shell fell into the bowl. Skipper groaned from the sidelines. Next came the flour. Barbie lifted the bag carefully, but it was heavier than she expected. With one tug, the entire bag slipped from her grip and exploded like a snowstorm all over the kitchen. Flour floated through the air, covering Barbie, Honey, and even Ken, who was unfortunate enough to walk in at that very moment. "Is it snowing in here?" Ken coughed, wiping flour from his face. Barbie blinked through the powdery haze. "I guess I made flour clouds." Undeterred, Barbie moved on. She poured in too much milk, then too little cheese. She confused salt with sugar and added an alarming amount of both. When the recipe asked for a pinch, Barbie tossed in an entire spoonful. Skipper gasped. "Barbie, that's not a pinch. That's a mountain." "Oh, more flavor never hurts," Barbie said cheerfully. Then came the food coloring. Barbie wanted each portion of pasta to be a different bright color. She squeezed the bottles eagerly, but instead of neat drops, entire rivers of red, blue, and green dye splashed into the pot. Honey barked, chasing after a rolling spoon, which Barbie had dropped in her panic. Somehow, the puppy's wagging tail knocked over a bottle of tomato sauce, which splattered across the floor. Barbie scrambled to save it, slipped, and landed on her knees with a big splat. The once perfect dream kitchen now looked like a food battlefield. Taste test and reactions. After what felt like hours of chaos, Barbie finally lifted the lid of her pot with a dramatic flourish. "Ta-da!" she announced proudly. Inside was something. The pasta was no longer rainbow, but a strange shade of muddy purple. A smell of burnt cheese mixed with sugar and tomato sauce filled the air. Ken leaned in cautiously. "It looks, unique. Don't judge by appearances," Barbie said, with a nervous laugh. "It's all about taste." She twirled some pasta onto a fork and bravely took a bite. Her eyes widened. "Well?" Skipper asked, holding her breath. Barbie chewed slowly. "It's crunchy." "Crunchy? Pasta isn't supposed to be crunchy," Skipper pointed out. Barbie waved a hand. "Details." "Here, Ken. You try." Ken hesitated, but took a bite anyway. His face twisted into a series of funny expressions, first surprise, then confusion, then something close to delight. "It's actually not terrible," Ken admitted. "Kind of sweet, kind of salty, and oddly edible." Honey barked eagerly. Barbie gave him a tiny piece, and the puppy wagged his tail furiously, licking his chops. "See?" Barbie said, relieved. "Everyone loves it." Skipper raised an eyebrow. "Honey eats socks, Barbie." "That doesn't mean this is good." Turning chaos into culinary charm. Just as Barbie was about to serve more of her rainbow pasta, disaster struck again. The pot tipped over, spilling half the pasta onto the counter, down the cabinets, and onto the floor. Purple noodles draped everywhere like slimy spaghetti decorations. Barbie froze. Then she burst out laughing. "Okay," she admitted. "This may not be the culinary masterpiece I imagined." Ken chuckled, picking noodles out of his hair. "But it is the funniest cooking experience I've ever had." Skipper nodded. "And it was fun. The kitchen may never recover, but at least we'll remember this day forever." Barbie's smile brightened. "You're right. Cooking isn't just about perfection. It's about enjoying the process. And since the pasta didn't turn out, maybe we can make something simpler. Something we can actually eat. Together, they rummaged through the pantry. With Skipper's help, Barbie decided on something quick and foolproof: Maggie noodles. Barbie carefully followed Skipper's instructions this time. Boil water, add noodles, sprinkle the seasoning, stir gently. No flour explosions, no eggshell disasters, no food dye floods. In just a few minutes, the kitchen smelled amazing. Barbie took a careful taste. Her eyes lit up. "This is delicious. And I didn't even set anything on fire." Ken clapped. Success at last. They all sat around the table, sharing bowls of Maggie noodles. The meal wasn't fancy, but it was warm, tasty, and exactly what they needed. Lessons learned after dinner. Barbie stood in the middle of the messy kitchen. Flour dusted the counters, food dye stained the floor, and noodles dangled from the ceiling fan. "Well," Barbie sighed. "I guess it's time for the final step. Cleanup." Cue the cleanup montage. Ken chasing Honey, who had a noodle stuck on his nose. Skipper scrubbing the counter while Barbie mopped the floor. Everyone laughing when the mop bucket tipped over, splashing soapy water everywhere. By the time they finished, the kitchen sparkled once again. Though Skipper swore she'd never get the purple dye out of her socks. Barbie leaned against the counter, smiling. Today didn't go as planned, but it was still amazing. I learned that cooking isn't about being perfect. It's about having fun, trying new things, and sharing with friends. Ken grinned. And about not adding 3 spoonfuls of salt. They all laughed. As the night settled, Barbie looked at her sisters and friends. "Next time, we'll make something even better. Maybe cookies or a cake or maybe something simple. Skipper interrupted quickly. Barbie giggled. Fair enough. But whatever we make, it'll be another delicious adventure. And with that, Barbie blew out the kitchen lights, already dreaming of her next chaotic but wonderful recipe.